Hello everyone. Today we will discuss how to control risks. Previously we have discussed that what is risk and what is likelihood and consequences. For now we will discuss that how we can control the risks. The lecture outlines are basically how do you reduce risk, that what are the ways that we can reduce the risk, and how we can decide that which risk controls we have to use in the safety management system. So our two main topics for today are these two. First, we will discuss that how we can reduce the risk. So let's suppose if you want to reduce the risk, you have to reduce the likelihood and the consequences, or we can say both of them. Previously, we discussed that if there is more likelihood, there will be more risk, and if there is more consequences, then the risk will increase. Both of them, when combined and increased, results in having a high risk. So, if you want to reduce and minimize the risk, then in that case, we have to reduce both of them, the likelihood and consequences. The likelihood and consequences are both present highly in this case. As you can see in the picture that this is a machine, and if the user or the worker is working with it, then there is a high risk in this machine because it is open. You can see that it is open to the user or the worker, so there is a chance of the risk or hazard in that case. So in that case, we have to decrease or minimize the risk, or we have to make it zero. So how we can convert this risk to no risk? So you can see that in this case, both the likelihood and consequences have been decreased, which results in no risk. So the machine has been protected and there is a barrier. So in that case, this barrier will cause no risk and it will protect the user from the risk and the hazard. So in that way, we have basically reduced the risk which is present in the machine. The second topic for today is that how we can decide that which risk controls we have to implement and utilize. So basically there are 5 options or ways of controlling the risk. We have to do it on priority basis. So there is basically a hierarchy of risk controls to use. The first one is eliminate the hazard. The second one is reduce the hazard. The third one is basically how we can prevent the contact with the hazard or the risk. Then we can discuss the safe system of work, and finally how to wear and wearing PPEs, personal protective equipments. So stepwise we will go through it. First we will eliminate the hazard, then the reduce hazard, then we can implement how to prevent the contact, then the safe system of work, and finally personal protective equipments. So the most effective option is basically to eliminate completely the hazard. How we can completely eliminate the hazard? For example, if a worker is doing something by hand, should be done by the machine. For instance, to carry a load by the machine, it means to remove it. If the worker is carrying the load by himself, then in that case there is a high risk and hazard. But if that work is done by the machine, then we can say that the risk has been eliminated. We can give another example, for instance, that there is a construction work on the road and we place the signboards that this way is not for traffic, and we show the signboards, then in that case there will be no hazard because the traffic will not go through that way, and we can say that we have totally eliminated the hazard. Hazard which can't be eliminated should be reduced so that it has low potential to cause harm. In some cases, we cannot eliminate the hazard because we have to work, and in that case, we have to reduce it up to some extent. The hazard also can be substituted with a low hazard. For instance, if the construction work is going on the road, then in that case, we can have the signboards that uh, make your speed slow. So in that case, the traffic will go, but it will be with care and the hazard will be reduced. People can also be separated from hazard. It's also a way of controlling the risk. So how we can separate the hazard? For instance, we can give an example. To a chemical storage room, only authorized people should have access. Only authorized people will got the access to the chemical storage room. So in that case, we have basically separated the people or the worker from the hazard. In that case, the hazard is basically the chemical storage room. So we can say that we have separated the worker from the hazard. Then we have a safe system of work. A safe system of work explains how the activities of the work should be carried out. Basically, a safe system of work is a document in which we explain and define that how each and every work in the safety management system will be carried out. We basically identified each and every step of a work that the worker will implement. So in that case, we can say that we have eliminated the hazard because we have carefully defined all the steps of a specific work in the safety management system. This is basically a document for a user or a worker who will have to follow it and then will reduce the hazard. Finally, our last resort is basically personal protective equipment. This is the last resort because it entirely depends on the user, because sometimes the user may not remember to wear personal protective equipments, glasses, etc. So in that case, this is our last resort. Personal protective equipment also reduces or minimizes the risk. So, but it is the last resort because it entirely depends on the worker. If worker forget it to wear, then it's useless. So these were the 2 points that we have discussed today. If you have any question, then you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you so much.